Well, I've been a musician most of my life because I saw the Beatles on TV and thought, hey, man, the people are cheering for them, and I want to do that. And little did I know it wasn't that easy, but I was convinced that it was really that easy, and I decided to give it my shot. And I started playing around the house, air guitar on my shirt. Then they bought me a plastic guitar, and I played that and faked it, and it was pretty weird. So, I was like the only kid in my entire family, so I was always impressing the old people who told me you could do anything you want, and, turns out that you really can't. Although my grandfather was a drummer, and he made his living until he got a spot on his lung from being in these, it was before HVAC, and he smoked, and everybody else smoked, and he had to stop. My Uncle Homer was also a radio guy and alcoholic, so I guess I followed their tradition. But, I was always a weird kid in school, always, because I said how I felt, and I hadn't had any training on, I didn't have any filters, so I was always, people asked me, what do you want to be? I was like, well, I want to be a NFL football guy. I wanted to be a football guy for a long time. And it turns out I was not big enough, even at 270, even my biggest at 300 pounds was like the starting weight. It took me till I was age 50 to make it up that high, but I was too ugly. I was just, I could play a lot of instruments, but I'm not like, like Dean or Yngwie or somebody who's like, great player. I just know how to do it and know how to write songs. And I didn't look right. And so I got into punk rock because everything was accepted pretty much then. And yeah, it was in tune when I bought it. Trust me. This is a great guitar. But I started off writing my own tunes with a guy named Eric Frey, and then I recorded some of those, and I got an album deal. And during that album deal, I was told by the producer that, musicians don't make any money, and they never do. In fact, the idea of a label is to keep you so far in debt that you can't leave. And he offered me a job working in publicity, which, as it turns out, it's what I really excel at. Spreading the bullshit, man. And I've kept the Wild Dogs and my name alive and selling them. Wild Dogs only sold 700 copies of each CD, of each LP, and it was never repressed. I can polish a turd like nobody's business. They should call me the alchemist. But I said no. He told me, you will never make any money as a rock star. You will never be a rock star not living in Portland, Oregon. You won't do jack shit from Portland, Oregon. He was right. And then I got with the Wild Dogs, and at that time it was really magical, though. It's like, so I was sidetracked by the fact that I was really regretting the fact that I didn't take the job at MCA as the head of publicity's department assistant, protege thing. I probably would I would not live in Portland, Oregon. But anyway, I started Malice with Jay Reynolds and Kip Dorn and Dean Castronova and the singer James Neal. We did all the first recordings, and those guys look like rock stars. Like Mick Zane and Mark Bain, they were already rock stars. They had the hair. I was always hair challenged. I was follically challenged. You say tomato, I say tomato. And the Wild Dogs should never have been a band, really. We were just a project at the studio. And as soon as we got any recognition, then we had to show pictures of ourselves, and I was ugly, and well, the guys were the Wild Dog guys were pretty fucking ugly too, but and big. And Dean was like 400 pounds when I met him, and losing weight because he, from the speed he was taking, he told me. But he was always on speed. He was on, one of those things called that, Ritalin. But because he was a hyper kid. But as soon as they started taking it serious, I was like, okay, let's fix the things that are broken with this band. And, well, I was out. And then I got my own deal. And that went to #1 in Europe. And by 1986, pretty much my whole rock and roll star recording career was done, really. And the other guys just didn't do diddly shit with that. They did Reign of Terror, and that was it. And so the 90s were looming and coming in pretty hot and fast. And I was writing some tales on, Dr. Mastermind, because I was in a lot of magazines in Europe, and Europe has always been really good for me and to me, and that's why I've got the flag of Germany tattooed on my arm, not the American flag, because Americans never, especially my hometown, just really didn't do shit for me. They didn't support me. I turned the Oregon Music Hall of Fame thing down because I said, no, we're not a Portland band. We were a Portland band for 2 years. That's all we played here. And I think the other bands like Gargoyle and Glacier and whoever else were just waiting for us to either move out or fizzle out so they could jump in and take place. And so the 90s came, and I couldn't be a metal guy because grunge was taking over. I saw Soundgarden at Music Millennium in 1989, and they were great. And I knew that metal was done. It was done then. I mean, and they had a resurgence. I knew it would have a resurgence around the beginning of the new century, and it did. And but 10 years. How many? I mean, there's a lot of bands, but these festivals that you play, they wouldn't let you repeat your performance within 10 years. And within 11 years, there were people doing it every year, and with diminishing returns. And like, well, I won't name some. I'm pretty much every band who was over to Europe all the time. Their crowds kept diminishing because there was no special deal. When we played there in 2008, it was like kind of the tail end of everything that had, reunions and all that stuff. And it was pretty cool. Like 5,000, close to 5,000 screaming fans. And the pictures are on the Live at Headbangers Open Air album cover. So I like to take pictures of the crowd. But, soon enough, it was... There's a million new bands with young people, and they really should be taking the place so the art form can keep moving forward instead of the same old bullshit that was really kind of second rate back in the day. Like I said, Wild Dogs sold 700 records of each LP, and at least that's what we were paid for. So it's been bootlegged and it's been pirated, and it's on a million different servers. But as far as sales, I mean, so is everybody else. Everybody that was on any label I've ever been on, those records are available for free if you're on a private server club. Darren from the band Pirate told me that, and he'd always tell me, hey, I found your record on another. I said, just say thanks, because, hey, the idea is the music is getting around. As Oasis says, I want to live forever, and that's the only way you're going to do it. So I've made it into 48 books and encyclopedias of heavy metal and rock, and different books that featured me, my stories, and Wild Dogs, and all the bands that I've been known for. They're all on usmetal.com under the bands banner. I think there's 15 of them that I put up there that either recorded something or people know me from Wild Dogs, of course, Dr. Mastermind, Mayhem, The Ravers, Evil Genius, and The Vultures, and my blues band, the East Side Stranglers. You see, during the 90s, heavy metal was a swear word. So Dean and I and Kip and John Donnelly had a band called Mrs. Beasley's Nightmare that was from Family Affair. Mrs. Beasley's was the daughter, the doll that the little daughter had. And I did Madison Avenue kind of in protest to, well, I was miserable enough for comedy, as I said. And until I met Debbie, and things changed. She changed me. She really helped me a lot. She's the one that got me back into selling my music, and bought me my first CD burner and put out the money for the first runs of CDs. And from there, I just took it and ran. But she didn't believe it. She's a tough audience. I was doing Madison Avenue, a comedian who made fun of rock and roll guys, and we were at my house, and I said, well, I've got all this fan mail, and I had like 5 garbage sacks full of fan mail from Europe. And she said, right. So I went and opened one up and dumped it on my bed, and there's all this handwritten mail before email. And then she said, wow, you are somebody. I am somebody. I was somebody. So, well, that's how I started doing the records, the CDs. Because none of this music came out on CD or cassette, actually. Dr. Mastermind did, but that was on Sony and CBS and Roadrunner and Shrapnel, and that was a little later. And with Kurt James and Dean Castronovo. And, I'm sure you've heard this story about 1 million times, so here's 1,000,001. And then the 90s came, and I had a trio of Wild Dogs, and we played the last couple of years of great shows at the Roseland Theater. We were the opening band before this guy named Dan Crenshaw kind of invaded my space and took over and pushed me out. And I thought, fuck this, I don't need to compete with this guy. You can have Portland. All I wanted really was some great videos, and I got it, and that got me traction. It bought me some purchase, as Debbie says. And in Europe, I kept getting offers to go to Europe, but the drummer didn't have a passport because he was an illegal alien from Canada. And it's from north, not south. And we never went to play Wacken Open Air in the formative years. Finally, I got a call in 2007 I didn't have a band together. Hadn't had a band together for years. I've been recording with Bryce Van Patten like every week. That's why I have so many records. I like Down and Dirty, which I just re-released, and got some great cover pictures and everything. But with the Mentors guys, Steve Broy, recorded like 7. We recorded, I think, 160 songs in a few years. He'd come up over the weekend, and we'd knock out 12 of them from nothing. And it was a really prolific time. I was writing parking tickets for Portland Community College, walking in the rain every day, and then I was driving a shuttle van, and that was pretty fun. But about 2007, I got an offer to go play in Germany, which I had wanted to do forever. And I didn't have a band, so I put the band together, and we started playing around town in Portland, and got practiced up for a year, and went and played in Germany in 2008, and made a record of it called Live at Headbangers Open Air. That lineup lasted for quite a while, but the time period for a good research was pretty much over. I think the 80s has been done for, over. That's 40 years. Next year is the first Wild Dogs album. And, come on. It's time for all these new bands to really, I've been saying this for 10 years. It's time for the new bands who are now 30 years old to have their time in the sun. And, because they're a lot better than the bands that The bands that came out of Portland were not that great to begin with, and then 40 years later, they're still not any better. Sorry, guys, but that's my opinion. And that's why I didn't really stick around to ever watch any of the bands. I knew you, and, if you were friends, if you're friends, they're great. But I wasn't really a big local metal guy. And I was more of a punk rocker. I still think the Ramones, look, you can see what shirt I'm wearing. It's Oasis. And I love Oasis. And I found them about 93 or 4. We were at a movie theater, the Valley Theater, and I heard Wonderwall. And I said, what? Who's that? And Debbie said, I think that's Oasis. And I bought the CD, and I've just been hooked ever since. It's the one band I can keep listening to over and over and over and never get sick of, because all the songs on the record are great. Them and Bush, the 90s had some great music. And it was a return to music. It wasn't trying to sound like you're supposed to sound. And that's when I really realized, about 2006, am I sounding like I'm supposed to? And that's when I thought, I'm done. I have really no more to say. And I think 36 records, full length. Some CDs have 18 songs on them. I think that's enough. I'm going to leave that, and I did some jazz stuff and some blues, and here I am. I'm done playing live. 2018, the last gigs we did. Then I saw a post. I have a couple of sneaky imposter profiles on Facebook, and somebody said, hey, you should check this post out, and I was blocked from it with my name, my other names. So I went with my sneaky name, and wow. Now, young people, they didn't like the band. They just, I don't know what the deal was. That's the deal with young people. They're nice to your face, but they're assholes normally. A lot of them, not everybody. But, they'll be polite. They're nice. Fuck you. Be honest. But there is so much hatred for me and for my band, and now I know why. They would book us as the headliner, and then we'd play last, and by the time we get on stage, there'd be nobody there. There was one gig where the bartender was closing up, the lights were turned on, and I said, hey, we're about to start here. Oh, wow. So, I don't need to be humiliated anymore. Plus, it's just stupid, I'm not a cool guy. I am the enemy. I am the establishment. I worked for a government-funded agency for 22 years. I'm not one of you. I have all the nostalgia. I sell all the stuff from them, but from the old days. But now people want to have vinyl and cassette, which is vinyl. I've always hated vinyl. I've hated the scratchy, crackly fucking bullshit sound that vinyl has. It was an ancient technology in the 70s. It was ancient technology in the 80s and worse in the 90s. Then they had CDs. Finally, when I got CDs, I realized why people didn't like me in cover bands, because my records didn't have those extra choruses and verses that I didn't know the whole song, right? But, nah. So anyway, that's me. I've pretty much done a lot of stuff, and I helped Tom Pig from Poison Idea. And if you watch my other videos, you'll see who I've had connections with, and a lot of people are dying, and it's like crazy, man. It's like, our whole age group is age 45 to about 65. They're cutting a swath big and wide, and making room for the new people. So that's all I got to say. I think this is probably the peak of it, right? I think I've said enough. So don't forget about me. Yeah, I never will. You can forget about everything, baby, but you won't forget about me. If you like me or not, I don't care. Well, I'm a 1 in a million. Yeah, all right. I'm Matt McCourt. You're on US Metal TV. Visit usmetal.com. and I will talk to you.